Once upon a time, in the coastal village of Batu, where the sea was rich with fish and the air smelt of salt, lived a fisherman named Okon. Okon was a very skilled fisherman, but greedy. He was tall and lean, with sun-darkened skin and calloused hands from years of rowing. He was known for his quick temper and impatience. His sharp eyes could spot a good catch from afar, but his heart longed for wealth without hard work. While other fishermen took pride in their labor, Okon often grumbled, "Why struggle when I could be rich?" His love for ease and riches will soon lead him on an unforgettable journey. One evening, as the fishermen gathered by the shore after a long day, they exchanged tales of the sea, some real, some imagined. The salty breeze carried their laughter and chatter as they sat by their boats, cleaning their nets. One of the older fishermen, Babatunde, leaned back and said with a grin, "There's treasure out there in the deep. Lost ships, hidden chests, who knows what is waiting for us?" His weathered eyes sparkled with excitement. "I have heard stories from the elders," added Adebayo, another fisherman. "They say there's gold in the sea, just waiting for someone brave enough to find it." The other fishermen laughed, some shaking their heads. But Okon, who had been quiet until then, leaned forward. "If I found gold, I wouldn't hesitate. I would leave this fishing behind forever," he said, his voice full of ambition. "I would buy a big house, fine clothes, and have all the luxury I could ever want." The others laughed, teasing him. But Okon's eyes gleamed with the thought of riches. The sea to him was no longer just a livelihood. It was a place of possibilities, of untold wealth waiting to be discovered. One morning, some months later, Okon rowed his boat into the deep blue sea, casting his net as usual. But instead of fish, he caught something heavy. "What is this?" he muttered, pulling up an old barnacle-covered chest. With a loud creak, he pried it open. His eyes widened. The chest was filled with gold coins. Okon dropped his net immediately. "I am rich! I am rich!" he shouted. "No more fishing for me," he shouted, laughing. With the chest of gold clutched tightly in his hands, Okon stumbled across the sand. His heart raced with excitement. The weight of the chest felt heavy, but it was nothing compared to the weight of his dreams. "I am rich," he whispered to himself, glancing around to make sure no one saw him. The gold coins inside glittered in the afternoon sun as he carefully carried the chest, his steps quickening as he imagined all the things he could buy. He couldn't wait to show everyone, to finally escape the life of a fisherman and live in luxury. The next day, Okon walked proudly to the shore, the gold coins glinting in his hand. The fishermen were gathered cleaning their nets when he approached them with a wide grin. He held out the coins for all to see, but only a few were visible, hidden behind his fingers. "Look what I found," Okon declared, his voice full of excitement. A purse full of gold just lying in the sea. The other fishermen leaned in, eyes widening at the sight of the shimmering coins. But Okon quickly withdrew his hand, his smile tightening. "I will keep this little one for myself," he added. "This is just a start. One day, I will have it all." None of his friends received even a single coin, and the others watched as Okon turned away, his chest puffed out in pride. Back in Bantu, Okon abandoned his fishing boat and began spending lavishly. He bought the finest clothes, dressing like a king. He threw grand feasts, inviting the entire village. He surrounded himself with new friends who praised him, saying, "Okon, you are the wealthiest man in Bantu." He no longer woke up early to fish. He no longer smelled of the sea. He only cared about enjoying his fortune. When Baba Musi, an elder, warned him, "Okon, wealth does not last without wisdom," he laughed. "What wisdom? I am too rich to worry," he said. A few days after Okon had thrown a lavish party, he was sitting in the village square, wearing lavish new clothes and sipping a drink, laughing with his new friends. But as the fishermen passed by, they exchanged worried glances. Babatunde, the eldest of the group, approached Okon with a frown. "Okon, you have been spending too much. You should be careful with your gold," Babatunde said, his voice filled with concern. "What do you mean?" Okon replied, brushing off the advice. "I am enjoying my wealth. I have worked hard for it. But what about your future? Gold doesn't last forever if you spend it like this," Adebayo added, his voice full of worry. Okon laughed, waving them off. "I am fine. I have got everything I need. Stop worrying about me." The fishermen exchanged glances, but Okon was already lost in the thought of his next purchase, ignoring their words of wisdom. Months passed, and Okon's once wealthy life began to crumble. The feasts became smaller, and then they stopped completely. His fine clothes became old and torn, and his so-called friends disappeared, whispering behind his back. One morning, he reached into his chest and found only one last coin. His stomach rumbled with hunger, So he decided to visit the market with hope in his heart. He approached the stall, ready to ask for food on credit. "Please, I'll pay you later," Okon said, trying to sound confident as he picked up some yams, tomatoes, and dried fish. The market vendor, a sharp-eyed woman named Mama Kemi, looked at him suspiciously. "How will you pay, Okon? You have stopped fishing, and I haven't seen you around for months. What happened to your gold?" Okon hesitated. His mind raced. He had nothing left to offer. "I'll pay you once I get some more money," he stammered. But Mama Kemi shook her head. "Everyone has seen how you spent your wealth, Okon. You can't pay what you do not have," she said, her voice firm. The other vendors nodded in agreement, and Okon felt his face turn red with embarrassment. He had nothing left to rely on but the sea, the very thing he had abandoned. With no money and no friends, Okon walked back to the shore, where the other fishermen walked. He saw his old coat, now covered in dust, and he sighed. "I should have invested in my fishing, not wasted my fortune." With a deep breath, he pushed his boat into the water and picked up his net once more. Years later, Okon had rebuilt his life, not with gold, but with wisdom. When a young boy asked him, "Baba Okon, what happened to your gold?" he smiled and said, "The sea gave me gold, but it was hard work that gave me a future." And from that day, the people of Batu remembered, wealth without wisdom fades, but hard work and patience build a lasting fortune. Now, to the moral of the story. Easy wealth disappears quickly, but true success comes from hard work and wise choices. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.